And Hugh, you made an interesting point there a minute ago. You said basically these red-blue tribes you think are sort of frozen in place. I wonder if you could expand on why you think that is. Is this something that's bigger than just whatever the issue of the moment is on Capitol Hill? It was health care once, then it becomes Syria. Is there something deeper, something bigger that drives that kind of freezing in place you're talking about?
Yeah, I think the divide is very deep, Steve. I was out in Los Angeles this weekend with the Science March. I was in D.C. for the Women's March. And the people who are marching, the same people, and they're deeply committed to resistance as they put their hashtag. But the Trump people aren't for moving. Selena Zito is out doing amazing reporting for the New York Post and others along the Pittsburgh, northeastern Ohio, into Wisconsin belt, where former Democrats, union people primarily, she's headed up to Macomb County tomorrow, are very solidly pro-Trump. And in some of those numbers, you will see what Sean Trendy, the PhD over at Real Clear Politics, calls social desirability bias. And in that social desirability bias, I believe you'll find a lot of independents who are supporting President Trump but not saying so. If he continues to deliver on regulatory relief as he had with 13 different Congressional Review Act statutes, not executive orders, laws, he's going to bring those workers home who want real jobs with real wage increases, not the rhetoric of the Obama years. I think he's fine right now. I would like to see more judges. I would like to see more appointees, and I'd like to see that 350-ship Navy detailed. But I think he's doing fine.
Karine, those voters Hugh's talking about there, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, that specific group there that was Obama 08, Obama 12, Trump 16, that really swung the election in the end. Do you think, looking now, since the election, first 100 days, the strategy for Democrats, has it been and has it, do you think, addressed the concerns that sent those voters to the Trump column, or is it more relying on, hey, we hope Donald Trump's going to have a rough time here, not deliver on health care, and they'll just turn on him? Where does the Democrat fit in there strategically?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, Donald Trump is doing the work for Democrats. I mean, he has had, as we've talked about from the top of this show, the worst first 100 days that we've seen in modern times. He hasn't talked about where are the jobs, right? I mean, that's the big thing. He had a populist message, which is why he ended up winning those 3 states, because people were really feeling the economy and they wanted jobs. We haven't seen anything at all. If anything, his major signature pieces of legislation, if you will, have failed miserably. So it's really, I mean, he's doing the work for us by being so divisive, by not unifying. This is the time for Donald Trump to bring us together, because as we know from this election, this past election, we are a divided country, and he hasn't done that as president.
And we mentioned at the top of the show, look, Washington, this is about the 1,000th time in the last 7 or 8 years, but Washington on shutdown watch this week. The issue there, a potential stumbling block, is the issue of the border wall. Donald Trump tweeting about it this morning. We can put it up there. He says the Democrats don't want money from the budget going to the border wall, despite the fact that it will stop drugs and the very bad MS-13 gang. Susan Page, when you look at this, look, Donald Trump is in a bit of a bind here, I guess you could say, in that he made such a big deal about the about getting that going. He now says, I'll get Mexico to pay later. But right now, he would need Democrats to go along with funding it to get it started. Do you think there's going to be any give there on Democrats' part?
I think Democrats are feeling pretty defiant. And, all the times we've had shutdowns before, I think shutdowns have only occurred when we've had divided government, so each side can assume the other side is going to get the blame. When Republicans control the White House, the House, and the Senate, I think they're pretty sure that blame is likely to fall to them. And that means I've got to believe that President Trump does not want a government shutdown on his 100th day, as Casey Hunt was saying, and that in the end they'll agree to something like money for drones along the border and not insist on this on money for the wall, because it looks like Democrats are just going to say no.
Yeah, Hugh, do you agree with that? Republicans, that they control everything. If there's a shutdown, they get the political blame?
No, Steve. I think it'll be the Chuck Schumer shutdown. Senator Schumer promised a shutdown a month ago if the border wall funding was there, and it takes 60 votes in the Senate to pass it. Ted Cruz got tagged with the shutdown in 2013, and I think Chuck Schumer gets tagged with it in 2017. And the big difference is the White House decides what's essential. The White House decides what gets shut down. It's not going to be the Washington Monument like President Obama did. It's not going to be Mount Rushmore like President Obama did. You're going to see a group group of bureaucrats go home and not get paid when they get coming back. So I think there's an incentive for Chuck Schumer to drop his shutdown threat, because it isn't that easy. Manhattan Beltway media is convinced Trump's going to get blamed for the shutdown. I don't think so in Trump land. They're going to blame Chuck Schumer.
And Karine, just a big picture question with you. We're at the end of 100 days, symbolic milestone here. But I just wonder, from Democrats' standpoint, do you think there's a lesson, and if so, I'm curious what it is. Do you think they look back at the lesson, the election right now, and that defeat that they didn't see coming, and draw a lesson now that maybe wasn't on their radar before the election?
Yeah, I mean, I would hope so. Any lessons to learn from this, from 2016, but you know, 2016 was a weird season because of so many things. You have Russia, you have fake news, you have the losing of the blue wall because of that economic message that was missing. So we can take the blame, but there's also some weird, bizarre things that have happened. But I do want to touch what Hugh just said. Look, what Trump is doing is he's holding the U.S. government hostage because of a wall that he clearly stated that Mexico was going to pay for. Now he wants taxpayers to pay for. So this is not going to be on the Democrats or Chuck Schumer. Let's remember, the Republicans have the House, the Senate, the presidency. The government has been shut down in 1995 and 2013, and this would be unprecedented that the party has all three branches and could potentially shut this all down.
All right, Karine, Jean-Pierre, Hugh Hewitt, Susan Page, thanks to all of you for joining us. It was a good discussion.